This is your perfect world, huh?
Guards, arrest that woman! That isn't me!
Can't believe you didn't realize we're in Nazi world.
Come on, how was I supposed to notice that?
Ma'am, you're gonna have to come with me.
Because of the copies of Mein Kampf on every desk?
Think I'd be this buff if I looked at books?
Ma'am.
Or the giant fucking mural of Hitler?
Oh, fuck, how'd I miss them?
Hello, I'm Elysia, and this is Comics Versus Talks the DCUniverse, a Lorehounds podcast, your guides to the multiverse of fascism.
Hi, I'm Aaron from Radioactive Ramblings, the president of the Vigilante Apologist Club.
And I'm Jean, member of the Judo Master Fan Club, and this is Peacemaker Season 2, Episode 7, Like a Keith in the Night. My favorite episode in this series so far.
So we have obviously been covering each episode this season and a Season 1 recap with a spoiler-free intro. You can find all those links in the show notes if you want to go back and check out any of that. Welcome to any new listeners and welcome back to any repeat listeners. We're glad to have you here again. We're going to be jumping right into episode 7 of season 2. Obviously, all spoilers on the table, including anything else DC, movies, TV, or comics that we want to bring up. So we're talking about Like a Keith in the Night. What do we think about, obviously, James Gunn is loving his punny titles this season. I don't begrudge him that. But what do we think? Keith, did he steal anything like a thief in the night?
No. I don't think so. No.
Yeah.
Did he steal Chris's heart and his hope for the future?
I hope not. I think Keith is an awful guy in this episode.
Their revelations, yeah. It's actually this Like a Thief in the Night comes from a biblical verse. It's about the rapture, that basically people will be raptured like a thief in the night. So obviously Nazi world believes in the rapture. I wonder, if that religious side will play into anything, or if it's just like the backdrop of what you're expected to be.
This is a really relevant time for a rapture reference. I don't know if anyone has been tracking all of the online folks who believed that the rapture was coming, I think, last week.
Interestingly enough, that rapture business is a very American fake news type of thing.
Yeah.
It's not a Christianity thing. It's a very American fake news. There's no rapture in Christian faith.
Maybe just none of us are good enough.
Yeah, it's just something that came about. Yeah, in the last 100 or so years, I think. So
I mean, it's in the Bible, but
not in the way that people who proclaim the rapture is coming.
Right. It's been proclaimed several times in my lifetime, so I'm not feeling so worried about it.
There's no real reference to, the believers being upended, ascending into heaven like Jesus. It's a whole sham. a rapture sham. That's what I'll call it.
Everyone get your tinfoil hats out.
Yes.
Well, our heroes ascended back to their own universe. As Flag and Argus close in, the 11th Street kids attempt to keep the ever-increasing dangers of the alternate world around them at bay. Aaron, what did you think of this episode?
Well, first of all, Noodley is freaking hilarious in this episode and in the promo material. If you go on the HBO TikTok account or their Instagram account, he has these awesome bits where he's talking about Tim Meadows being in love with him, and it's really hilarious. So definitely go check that out. I don't trust this universe's Augie, even now that he's dead, and that in addition to that, Keith being as horrible as he is and his actions against Adebayo in the last episode, Augie raised that guy, and certainly those characteristics in Keith came from somewhere. And I think that Augie is certainly to blame. I think he was putting on a little bit of a mask, trying to pretend like he wasn't as bad as he really is.
Agreed.
And Vigilante, there was no way he could have known that Augie was going through this whole speech. And even if he did know, I think he made the right call by taking out the Blue Dragon. And that's my hottest take, I think, is that he did the right thing in this episode.
I mean, I'm never going to support jumping in knives first. I just don't believe in violence except as a last resort of defense. In terms of like lethal violence like that. You know, that's one of the I keep bringing up the movie Rebel Ridge. It's on Netflix, but that's
Yeah.
one thing I really like about Rebel Ridge is that there is brutal violence, but it's the goal is to be non-lethal. It's like I'm trying to stop you. I'm not trying to kill all of you. So I can't like I love Vigilante. I love double Vigilante, double as much. But I can't get on board with killing first and asking questions later. I'm also I'm against the death penalty, so I'm just not really like pro killing in general. But I completely agree about the whole. I still find Augie sus. We'll talk about it more as we go forward. I even clipped out some stuff where I'm like, I just, I don't know. What do you think, Sean?
Oh, I got a lot of thoughts on this episode. I got a lot of thoughts, a lot of things to say. And like I said in the opening, I think this was my favorite episode of the series. It really, Chris breaking down the way that he did really was heartbreaking. And again, I applaud John Cena. He should get an Emmy nod for this role, for his portrayal of Peacemaker. And if he doesn't, it's because of inherent bias that the awards people have.
Right. Because this is not as quote unquote prestige as the Penguin, which just means it's
Right.
not as serious.
Right.
But it is serious.
But it is serious.
Deadly serious.
We've always talked about how, these comics and the movies that come from the comics allow us to explore some of the most horrible traits that we have in the world in these fantastical universes. And just because the universe is fantastical doesn't make the story any less poignant than it is. And I think John Cena is doing a hell of a job relaying that emotion onto the screen. And I think he deserves a nod. I think my hot take is that the best dimension vigilante is who went through the door. I think
that's possible too.
I don't know if it's our vigilante, the DCEU vigilante.
And they didn't take off the mask at the end,
No.
so we couldn't see what color glasses he was wearing.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think it's the best dimension of vigilante that winds up in the DCU. Argus and Rick Flag are about to fuck up royally. I haven't watched the previews for the coming episode, for the finale, because I kind of want to be surprised by it. But I just think they're having control of the quantum doors is going to lead to the big bad from the Supes movie to take an interest in the DCU. And I think Argus, I was blaming Chris for that in previous months. Over the last month, I've been saying it's going to be Chris that does that, but it's not. It's Rick Flag Sr. who's actually going to open the door and open the eyes of the big bad to the DCU. That's my take on it. Adebayo getting chased, no matter how many times I see it, no matter how many times I may crack a joke about it, that shit is gonna anger me forever. It's just fuels my hatred for racists, and I don't use hate a lot, but it fuels my hatred for racists. So it's that powerful for me of a scene to see her running down the street being chased by this white mob who wants to, send her to a concentration camp or a work camp or worse, death, immediate death. And that is something that's really, really powerful. And I think that's going to stay with me for a while. And then to Aaron's point, I don't think that Best Dimension Augie was an ally. I just don't. He maybe didn't believe in Nazism, but he's not doing anything to end it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
He talks about a lot of things, but he doesn't talk about ending it.
Mm-hmm.
So how much of an ally is he? And I think the viewerships rush to paint him as, oh, he's a good guy. At the end of it, underneath it all, he's just a good guy, is the problem in our very real world, where
Mm-hmm.
we just say people underneath it all are just a good person. Is just a good person. No, that is not
Well,
allyship.
I mean, I think we should look for the good in people.
Yes, we
I think
should,
that's essential, and our only hope is to find the good even in bad people.
but I don't think this guy is good.
But we shouldn't let people wash too quickly over their issues, and just because we want the relief of being like, oh, that's not a person I have to worry about, okay, then I turn my attention to other bigger problems, bigger races. But I keep hearing in my head the two things that Aaron has said conflating. One is that you have to be actively anti-racist, and obviously he's not doing that. And the other is just, this is, I don't know, this is still that same guy who had some spark of meanness and he says, of course, he saw his other self, and oh, he looked rough, like something bad happened. So maybe there is still something to learn about what made DCU Augie and DCEU Augie, for that matter, so horrible, and why this one is different. But I don't know. I don't know if I trust that he's fundamentally different. And he also said some things this episode that made me go, are you really? Are you bullshitting to these people right now?
Right.
I just don't. Yeah, that's my thing. I don't think he's an ally. He may not be a Nazi overtly,
Mm-hmm.
and he may not view Nazism as the best possible of all choices to make. But I don't think that this Augie, Best Dimension Augie, is a good person.
Mm-hmm.
Personally,
Yeah.
I don't think he's a
And
good person.
we do see that him and his family are very well off in this universe financially. And I
Yes,
don't think that there's any way for them to get to that position in this economic system where there are labor camps
Yeah.
without having exploited that.
Yeah. Vigilante straight out says that to other vigilante, or other vigilante says it to our vigilante, that everyone who's doing well here is off the backs of the people in these work camps. So yeah. I know, yeah, this episode overall, though, it took me on the whole emotional roller coaster ride. Like, this was one of those episodes of television where I stayed up to watch it. I was also up late working, but it airs in the middle of the night here, so that's a huge compliment. I didn't want spoilers, but I was standing in front of the TV, just completely rapt attention. It just had me 100% sucked in. Uh, it's I was surprised to find out afterward that it is the shortest episode length so far. It's
yeah.
33 minutes.
Did it seem
Appar-
that short to you guys?
no, because there's so much happening.
It didn't seem like half an hour to me
Yeah.
at all. Yeah.
Apparently, the finale is going to be almost an hour. So, phew.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I need a whole spin-off show that's just Adebayo, Juno Master, and the two vigilantes, like, I don't know, on like spring break together or something.
I'd be remiss. I didn't mention Judo Master. Judo Master. That's it. Nothing
We'll
else.
talk
Judo
about him
Master.
more. Yeah. This was a great Juno Master episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We've been talking about how would he reemerge. Like, I could not have predicted or hoped for any better reemergence than that. So this episode was, of course, written by James Gunn. This one was directed again by Elysia Jones. She also directed episode 5 of this season. And it is, this episode and the last episode have by far the highest ratings on IMDb. This one currently stands at a 9.3.
Wow.
Yeah. Did you have any final thoughts, either of you, before we get into the episode itself?
Nah.
I'm ready. I'm ready to get into the meat of this episode.
All right, let's take a quick break. So, Peacemaker, Season 2, Episode 7, Like a Keith in the Night, and we will, as usual, be talking plot arc by plot arc rather than scene by scene, beginning with, Aaron, do you want to start with Escape from Argus?
Yeah. Picking up right where episode 6 left off, Peacemaker must come to terms that he might have missed a few more signs that he was in a Nazi world. From copies of Mein Kampf to a massive mural celebrating Hitler himself. And then he needs to quickly break up with Elysia so that he can fight his way out of Argus with Harcourt and run. He and Harcourt soon find themselves surrounded by police until Augie and Keith show up, kill all the police, and take Chris and Harcourt back to the Smith mansion.
So yeah, this episode, or at least the opening of this episode, could have been called Ignorance is Chris.
Man.
I like that later we get the defense of Chris by Adebayo.
You just gotta open your mind up a little and get past the parts that are cheesy. And then you find he's about the sweetest guy there is. And you know, he's my best friend, so I can't just sit here and let you malign him, even though you saved my life.
If he's so awesome, why'd he move to Nazi world?
I didn't say he was smart.
So, Jean, how are you feeling about Peacemaker about now?
Yeah, the same.
Yeah.
The same. Yeah, he's oblivious until, it has to be pointed out to him. They have to point out these things to him. And who knows how long it would have taken him to see what's going on without someone to point these things out to him. So I think that's the hallmark of just Chris is who he is. And I'm not in the business of pointing out things to people. That's just my own personal thing. I think white people have to do the work of unpacking racist shit themselves, because that's not my job. But for another white person to point out to Chris, look at all the things that you missed. That's what I would hope would happen. That it wasn't Adebayo who pointed these things out to him. That it was Elysia who said, "How could you miss all of these things?"
Right.
And that is the biggest thing that I took away from those scenes, was that it was two white people who are in this situation, and he's rightfully being called out by someone who isn't enamored with racism, right? Because I could say a lot of things about Elysia, but I don't think she's a racist. So Chris has so much work to do. He has so much work to do. And just because he's friends with Adebayo doesn't mean that, you know, his racism, all of a sudden disappeared. No, that's, it's very like, you're not one of those. You're not like the rest type of situation that could be with him and Adebayo. And I'm so happy that they did not fall into that trap in this episode.
Right. Yeah, Aaron, it reminded me of in episode 4 where they had of Gen V, they had the marketing guy, who is a black man, say to Marie, who's a black woman, "You're one of the good ones." Like,
yes.
Oof.
That hit hard.
That
hit hard. For black folk, that's, I with a quick aside, I remember I worked in a hospital once as like a unit clerk, and the person who does the charts and all that stuff, and make sure everybody's where they're supposed to be, and things are ordered. And I had a doctor tell me once that I was really good at my job, and he hoped that I stayed at this job forever. Literally said, "I hope you can stay at this job forever." I was in my early 20s, right?
Yeah.
And I was in school, working and also, trying to get my bachelor's or whatever. And I looked at him and I said, why? And pointedly, I said, would you hope that your son stayed in this job forever? And what do you think that my parents wouldn't want me to do something else with my life? It's that kind of casual shit that really eats at you.
Did he respond?
Right. No, he didn't respond. He looked dumbfounded.
Yeah.
And it wasn't my job to elicit a response.
Right. I was just complimenting you. Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't I wasn't trying to elicit a response. I was just trying to set these boundaries very clearly. Right. And that's the type of thing that I'm glad that this episode didn't do. It didn't make Adebayo the person to point out the bullshit to Chris. And that's great.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking, Peacemaker is dumb. And I was ready to just not, I've said, I think he's not the same type of racist as at least DCU Augie. But he has been oblivious. That keeps being pointed out. And so I was like, okay, he's only been there 24 hours. And then when the book thing came up, it's like, okay, I believe that this character's eyes slide right off of books. Fine. But then that missing mural, it's like James Gunn is like, no, don't give him any excuses.
Don't give him an excuse, right?
Yeah.
Because we want to give him an excuse.
Yeah. He's our title character.
Yeah, we want to give him an out.
Apparently, there was also going to be a group of men with Hitler mustaches around the copier too, but James Gunn decided that was just one thing too many and cut it. But he felt bad. He talked about this in the official podcast. He felt bad because those men were walking around with Hitler mustaches for a couple days.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen Chris come such a long way from season 1, but unfortunately that long way is just the first couple of steps towards not being a horrible person anymore. So.
Right.
Yeah, it's always a journey for all of us. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Aaron, do you think that Alt Amelia is really as simple as she seems? Like, what's her deal?
I think that she is. It seems like they are discarding her character after this episode and that we're not going to get any real resolution. It seems to me that alternate universe Amelia was just this sort of red herring for the plot and this distraction from the main universe, which I don't know that I really like that resolution. It might be a little bit too simple. I wanted to see alternate universe Amelia maybe be a part of the Sons of Liberty or something like that. But I understand that the show has its time limits and they can only do so much in one season.
Yeah. So we've been hearing that it doesn't sound like we're not, quote unquote, not necessarily getting a season 3 of Peacemaker. And that should be more clear after we see the finale. What that's so presumably some of these characters are going to be in Man of Tomorrow or do maybe the Waller show, going off doing various things. Yeah, but and it also sounds like I don't even know if we're going to see this dimension again in the finale. But it sounds like it's still out there, that there's not necessarily a plan for season 3 of it, but it's still something left out there hanging that James Gunn and the other DCU writers can pick at in the future. Yeah, that's the impression I'm getting. I don't know if you guys have heard differently.
I haven't. It would be cool to go back to Earth X to explore that a little bit more. Sons of Liberty. I still want to know if there are other soups in that. Metahumans in that universe, if they exist.
I mean, Rick Flag's gotta be finding out soon that his son's still alive in the other universe, right? So
that would be very interesting because someone would have to tell him about that unless he goes into that alternate universe himself.
Right.
Well, Chris might tell him now that he's arrested.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
that might be a cruel thing to do to Rick Flag Sr., though. And I don't know that Chris has any negative feelings towards Rick Flag Sr. aside from the fact that he feels a little bit singled out by the guy. It does seem like he has more sympathy for him than anything else.
Right. Yeah, because he feels guilt too. He's mad at himself. Everything that everyone else hates him for, he hates himself for, perhaps even more.
Right.
Yeah. He still did Altamelia, dirty. Just feel a little bit bad for her Nazi ass on that front. She was like, "Don't hurt me," and he's like, "No, I want this for real." And then he's like, "Well, sorry, your better version's back. Bye." I have to give Jennifer Holland a lot of credit for the way she plays this other Amelia so differently, and it's also the hair and makeup and wardrobe. But it's the voice she uses, it's the facial expression she uses. She really sells these as two different women to me.
Yeah. And also, when the fighting broke out, she ducked. Like she went straight for hiding under the table.
Yeah.
So I thought she was. Yeah, I thought she was. Pull out a toolie or something. I thought she was going to take out the hammer and start blasting, but she didn't. And I was like, "Oh, she's just hiding. Like, what's going on?" So she's going to start to blast. But she
we thought maybe they had fight skills, but nope, nope, not ladylike. She doesn't even wear pants ever.
Ever.
Yeah, it was nice to see that as they're escaping on the back of the bike, which I'm very sorry for Chris, he didn't get to bring the bike with him, but that Hardcore fully relaxes into Chris's back, and they do this kind of like hand squeeze thing, and that was really, it felt like a moment where she was like, "Okay, I give up, I give in to you." Like, I mean, sorry, that sounds bad the way you phrase it, but like she's letting her defenses down.
Yeah, in that moment, I think she definitely did let her guard down for the first time, with at least that we've seen this season with Chris. Definitely,
yeah. What do we think about the police massacre? Like, first of all, how much can the top trio get away with? And later Augie kind of waves it away with like, "Oh, they're the police of Nazi world," but it seems like in this world, and in many worlds, I'm sure, both, the police of Nazi world. Well, okay, actually, I'm sorry. I'm thinking out loud as I'm speaking, and I'm realizing that the Sons of Liberty, we saw them be far more violent in the fact that they were going to level a building and take out an entire city block full of innocent people, whereas the police here were trying to follow customs, trying to, follow warrants and things like that until they heard gunshots, and they were. Yeah, it's a wobbly morality line where I believe in the cause of the Sons of Liberty, but I think the police were operating more morally and didn't deserve to be massacred, perhaps.
What are you trying to get me into?
No, I mean, I just think that the complexities of the morality are very interesting. Just because I believe in someone's cause doesn't mean I believe in the way that they are doing it, because you can also make things a lot worse with stuff like that. In addition to the
slaughtering innocents and non-combatants is never
even slaughtering the guilty. They turns them into martyrs.
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know at that point. I don't know.
Look at the news.
Yeah, but martyrs for who though?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. I'm not,
martyrs for not for the people you agree with, obviously, but
I know, but
a rallying cry for the other cause, for the cause of the martyr.
Yeah, I think there has to be a very specific set of circumstances for that to work, right? And unfortunately, in our real world, we are in this particular set of circumstances for that to work, and it's that's the thing. I just don't know. I don't think killing the top trio or the top duo now, killing all the cops, and then saying, you don't know these cops. These cops are, like, he was alluding that the cops are not good people anyway. That's what Augie was trying to allude to when they asked him about killing, all the police officers or whatever. And that's what people are going to do. Augie is not a good person.
No, I don't think he's a good person. Right. We already said
so
that.
Him saying that is totally in line. He's like, what?
Yeah.
You shouldn't care about them because they're not good people. How many other people are not good people?
Yeah.
According to Augie, that he's killed?
Yeah, in this episode, Adebayo was the only person we saw saying like, "No, let's not kill the cops."
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I just believe that in general, shaming people and naming their crimes, bringing them to light is far more effective. And if we think we live in a world where you will be caught for doing bad things, I think that's a better deterrent than
death.
You live in a world where a vigilante might kill you.
That remains to be seen.
Yeah.
I didn't have too much to add. I was just going to say that in this fictional context, I am 100% okay seeing these people get off.
Right,
But
right.
in the real world, maybe I have a little bit more nuanced view. But definitely in this fictional context, I was cheering on what was happening.
I was cheering on. Well, we'll talk about another scene in a minute. But last thing about this scene is just wanted to call out the Terminator 2 reference because, of course, Robert Patrick played the Terminator.
Played the Terminator. Yeah.
He played T2. And yeah, it said, "If you want to live, come with us now," instead of "come with me if you want to live." Anyway. Okay, so let's turn to Aaron's favorites. Double Vigilante talks about justice. Alt Vigilante explains to our Vigilante that this is a world where the Nazis won World War II, and anyone who is not white, straight, and Christian is sent to live out their lives in work camps. When our Adrian tells the other Adrian that he entered this world with a woman of color, other Adrian tells him they need to go find her now. It's not safe for her here. And we get this exchange.
I mean, with the Nazis. Oh, yeah, the Americans won. I don't know who they teamed up with, but I'm like 99% sure it wasn't the Nazis. You must live in like a utopia.
And later, Adebayo says, "I'm not sure the Nazi world is as different as we wish it was." And Rip says, "Damn straight." And I think that's, I don't know, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Sean, but it seems like it's sort of the inverse pair of what you were saying before. Is nice to see two white people talk about this, and here we have two people of color saying like, yeah, my experience is not all that different.
Yeah, and I think that's unfortunately, that's spot on, you know?
Yeah.
That's spot on.
So Aaron, is there a way we can tell the two vigilantes apart when they're masked? Have you noticed? We know when their masks are off, our vigilante has silver glasses, silver rims, and the other vigilante has gold. But I didn't notice anything when they're masked.
Yeah, especially the costuming is identical as far as I can tell. When they're in the costume, I think personality-wise, they're almost identical. So I'm hoping that they did a little switcheroo and we get that reveal in the next episode. That would be entertaining.
What if we lose one and then, yeah.
You lose one, you gain another.
Yeah.
It would be. You're not losing one.
Yeah. It would be an interesting new dynamic for it to be the other vigilante who doesn't idolize Chris.
Yeah.
Does Vigilante have superhuman or metahuman healing powers? He seemed to shake off another bullet wound pretty quickly, like he did in the first season.
Yeah, that's
a good question. That's a good question. Knock on wood. That's a good question.
So we know one thing that seems different is they've obviously had very different experiences, and so they kind of seems like they have somewhat not different, like they both believe in the same things, but different things are important to them. For example,
I mean, anything anyone has here is at the expense of those who are considered outsiders, forced to toil away in camps their entire lives. Well, that's whack. Like, I can just stand by and watch it happening without trying to make a difference. That's how I feel when somebody does graffiti. That's not yours to draw on. That seems a little different.
It's a lot different.
Seems a little different. So, Aaron, why do you think, based on this conversation and the rest of the episode, if they did swap, why do you think that our vigilante would want to stay there? And why do you think that vigilante would want to go to the DCU?
I think that the two of them are endlessly entertained by this idea of alternate universes. And our vigilante has had the opportunity to experience a little bit of what his life would look like in this alternate universe. And I think he could probably stay there for months and months on end and still be entertained by what the differences are. And there's a lot of bad guys to kill in this universe, which our
Yup.
vigilante is a big fan of.
Mm.
And I think that similar level of curiosity applies to alternate universe vigilante, that he would want to come to our world and see what's up and maybe fight a little crime. Not a graffitiist, but he would try and find some real criminals.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Sean?
No, I agree. I think DCU vigilante would be at peace fighting Nazis
Mm-hmm.
like all day, every day. You know, he have a cause, and I think alt world, you know, vigilante getting to experience a world that doesn't have Nazis but is still in need of some superheroing would be that would be interesting to see how he would adapt, because it is a big change, because for the most part his entire existence is fighting back against the entirety of the ruling class of the society, where if he comes to the DCU it's much more nuanced, right? It's not always as overtly in your face, and that would be something I would be happy to watch, to see how he navigates this new environment and
Yeah.
see what he chooses and who he chooses to deem as worthy of, you know, the bullets.
Yeah. Maybe he'll be less petty, but more aggressive in
Just as deadly, but less petty.
Yeah.
I have a strong feeling alternate universe vigilante is a lot nicer to his mom than our vigilante is.
And well, so now I feel bad for his parents he's left behind with, that
Oh
he'll be
gosh.
mean to his mom, and
Right.
hopefully he knows better than to accidentally out his dad.
Oh gosh, that's right.
Oh yeah, that would be a shock to other Adrian.
Yeah.
He's like, "Where's dad?" Oh,
Oh man, yeah.
yeah. Maybe he'll find Economos with his mom in this universe. Anyway,
A lot of storytelling could be done with that.
do you want to set up the next section, Joe?
Yeah, electric swim and scrobble.
Scrabble.
Scrobble. All I know is not Scrabble. Picking up from the chase at the end of episode 6, Adebayo runs through a house and swims through a pool to escape her pursuers, who jump in the water after her. Reaching the other side of the pool, she looks up to see Rip Jagger, aka Judo Master, offering her a hand. He helps pull her out and then electrifies all the Nazis left in the pool with an exposed telephone wire. Judo Master takes Adebayo to an empty house he found, the one with the best snacks, of course. And the two talk and play Scrabble and wait for nightfall so they can sneak back into the Smith house and go back to their own marginally less racist dimension. What did you think?
This was one of the most satisfying scenes in the entire show, and also just Judo Master was brilliant at it. I love his zippity zap bitches. And I loved even more later when he says,
That was the most people I ever killed in a swimming pool with a telephone wire.
Yeah? What was the second most amount of people you've ever killed in a swimming pool with a telephone wire?
4. Remember that time you tasered me like 1,000 times?
Yeah. Sorry.
he says 4, like almost before she finishes asking the questions. Like he's like, I can't wait to tell people about this stuff. So specific. Now we talked a bit on the Discord about the extra meaning of the whole swimming pool aspect of it. Do you want to elaborate on that, Sean?
Yeah, so when she jumped into the pool and, you know, they all jumped in after her to chase her, I immediately thought back to segregation. Like, I was like, this is some wild, crazy shit that James Gunn is doing right here. You know what I mean? Or like, you know, she's in the pool and they're trying to get her out the pool, and they all jumped in the pool to get her out of the pool. But I'm like, this is crazy. And then he, you know, Judo Master pulls her out and then just fries everybody.
Mhm.
Like, you want the pool? Here you go, bitches. I said, yo. I laughed and I laughed and I laughed. And then I said, man, I'm laughing a little too much. And then I laughed some more. So
I remember growing up, there being lots of jokes about like, oh, well, black people can't swim. And it's just one of those things like, I don't know, there's also lots of jokes in the US about like Polish people are stupid. And then I realized later, I'm like, actually, most Polish people I know are very intelligent. Why? But so where it comes from in this case is basically that it was the segregation, as you were saying, and not being allowed to swim. So and the fact that like I was reading an article with a story about, what was it, like one of the major singers, Dorothy Denbridge or something, or major singer actress. Anyway, she was in the penthouse, but she stuck one toe in the pool, and they made the people who worked for them, who happened to be black men, drain it and scrub it. And so just to see that as the place where the racists are taken out, I think a lot of people seem to have found that satisfying.
yeah, it was. It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Absolutely. I do want to know what kind of villain dumps out the Scrabble onto the table instead of leaving it in the bag. You're supposed to shake it up in there and pick out of the bag. That really bothered me.
Really?
Yeah.
I dump it.
You dump the Scrabble tiles? Okay, I guess we have problems now. You and I can't play Scrabble together.
I am like Judo Master.
So like him, they hate everything you are.
Everything.
Yeah, that was his whole like they hate I am Asian, gay, Buddhist, none of the things that fit in here, but
Right.
it's like he's such an interesting character because he's so chill as he's saying this, or as he's accepting Adebayo's apology or whatever. But then you can just see that he's sublimating his rage in murder, sarcasm, and snacks.
Yeah. And that's how a lot of people deal. It's just underneath the surface. You know, you think it's not affecting you, and you let other people think it's not affecting you. But you hold this anger inside that you let out at the appropriate moments.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I can absolutely relate to.
Yeah. I just want to make a comment about the Cheetos versus the Cheerios with the H on the end. I think that's a brilliant piece of word building. Well, because if indeed you had an H at the end of, I'm pretty sure we kind of spell them similarly for the same reason, because it's like that's a meme that's been going, so it makes sense that there would be an H meme. But I love these multiverse stories. They always get wrong how different it would be. So it's not a knock against it, but it would be fun to see sometime, a multiverse story that really thinks about, well, the bands would not even have the same names. Like you could say Mick Jagger, but the name of his band is not the Beatles or something else. Things like that. So yeah, I think this is one of the best examples we've gotten on television of this kind of multiversal storytelling. What do you guys think?
No, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. I asked myself throughout the episode, just what is James Gunn trying to say here? And he's telling this story in a way that I think does a service to the fantastical. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's just so much you can take away from this series so far and have it relate to our current times, that it should give more people, more creators, more artists hope that you can tell your story in a way that makes it so very poignant to the times that we're in. And it doesn't have to be like something that is grounded in, some sort of realism, quote unquote. You know what I'm saying? Like you can take like use your imagination and let it run wild to tell a really good story and tell a really good story that speaks to our moment right now. Feel free to do that.
Yeah.
And this is what, to me, this is what this entire series is saying. Is like, we can tell these stories. We can be on point to this moment, but we can use our imaginations to get us there. And yeah, man, I'm here for it. I'm here for the Andors. I'm here for the Peacemakers. I'm here for all of that because I think, once we let the people who can really hone in and use these amazing characters that we have throughout fantasy, throughout, comics, we can tell really great stories that will speak to people right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think that one of the best things I did for my development of empathy is read a lot of science fiction and fantasy growing up.
Yeah.
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 For sure. And I think that with how much multiversal content we're getting in our media in general, whether it's books, video games, movies, TV shows, James Gunn bringing this level of uniqueness and thoughtfulness to it is something that we need to see more of, because the multiverse being the, I don't want to say gimmick, but it is a little bit of a gimmick when you don't put enough thought into it. It's not quite enough to make it a compelling story, and then James Gunn swoops in and adds those extra details to really flesh out the universe. And we need a lot more of that, and I love to see it.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think, Aaron, that after this scene with Adebayo and Judo Master, are they friends now?
I would go so far as to say Judo Master is an honorary member of the 11th Street Kids.
All right. That's fair.
Yeah. Seems like, especially after he covered for everyone at the end of the episode, he should deserve that honorary status, if not full membership in the gang.
Yeah, when he stepped back over to the other side, it was like a gut punch, but then it's like, well, yeah, of course, that's where he's supposed to be. But then at the end, when they're like, Rick looks at him and says, is what Chris is saying true? And he's like, yeah, okay. He's the guy I thought he was.
Yeah.
I love that he calls Adebayo out about Kia. He says,
Yeah, so if Kia can't accept my dreams, I don't know what kind of partner that is, right? She's crushing me, man.
Maybe you can accept her dreams.
What?
You said her dream was for the two of you to own a pet store. Can you accept that? So who's crushing who?
Is that fair, Jean?
Yeah, it's fair. Yeah, it's fair. But it's those little touches that Gunn is giving that makes this show so good. Those little questions right there, right? Like, she's here saying all these things about how she wants to, have this relationship with the woman that she loves, but she's not giving the same grace to the woman that she loves, that she's asking for.
She wants it to be on her terms.
Yeah. And we get that here in this little moment that begs bigger questions. Right. And I think that's, and let me just say for the record, I don't know if you know Aaron, but Elysia certainly knows. I'm not the biggest James Gunn fan. I haven't been. And I have to admit that this show has changed my opinion on the type of stories that he can tell.
And Superman?
This show in particular.
Okay.
Not Superman. This show. Because Superman is Soups, and I would be hard pressed to find fault with a Soups movie. That's just me. Right? I'm just going to be honest. That's just where I fall. And, it is what it is. But to take a character that I don't really, I haven't read a lot of Peacemaker comics. Peacemaker was not a big fan of Peacemaker before coming to this series. But the way he's telling this story shows me that he can tell stories in ways that make it appealing, not just for one segment of comic and non-comic book fans.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really something I did not expect coming into the series.
Mm.
And those little moments are the things that stand out to me.
Yeah.
Just that.
Yeah.
See, for me, this is what I think of as core James Gunn, because I am a fan, for any new listeners who don't know. And Superman is the one where they convinced me, like, oh, he can do other things. Because for me, I don't by any means dislike Superman. He's just never been my favorite because of the whole Boy Scout of it all. But this has got me, I even went on Nevermind the Music to talk about the Superman movie. Like, this is how into Superman I am because of this new movie from James Gunn. So that's where he really convinced me, like, okay, I want to see this whole vision, and I want to see it unfold in a planned, creatively driven way, this whole vision for the DCU.
Yeah. I was not particularly happy with the third Guardians of the Galaxy movie and how two-dimensional some of the characters felt in that movie
Okay.
to me. And so coming back to Peacemaker and seeing all of these just brilliantly written characters that have such human emotions and flaws, and the way that they interact with each other feels so true to life. I agree with you, Jean, that this show really brought me back on James Gunn, because I was a fan for the first few Guardians movies and some of the other projects he's done, but I fell off a little bit, and now he's sucked me right back in with all of his DC stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, question for you both. Another sort of dangling thing in this other universe is just the offhand remark that Judah Master said that there were several empty houses, and so he chose one for the best snacks. I wonder why the houses were empty. Like, are a bunch of people just going on vacation for some reason, or is there some sort of, are they emptying people out because they broke some rules or something like that?
Yeah, I did wonder about that when he said it.
I don't know if it'll ever be resolved, but
Because that neighborhood looked like it was packed with people chasing her. She had a sizable mob chasing her. So it's interesting when he said several of the houses were empty. I'm like, how could that be? So yeah.
That neighborhood watch thread that Keith referred to sounds like a terrifying place.
Gosh, there are those. Oh my God, man.
I was going to say, go on next door and make it not so different from how it is in this universe.
Exactly. Oh man, terrible things are said on these neighborhood watch apps, Facebook groups. Just yeah.
All right. This sounds like a good spot to take a quick break, and when we get back, we will get into Peacemaker After Dark. So we've now reached the Smith House Summit, where Keith returns home and finds Augie with his hostage Economos in the kitchen. Augie fills Keith in on what he's learned from Economos, but then chastises his son for chasing a black woman. It turns out he claims that Augie does not believe in the values of this racist dimension. So before we get into the Augie of it all, what do you think Eagly wanted John to do with the string he brought him? Like, was that just desperation to bring anything? Was he supposed to open the fridge for Eagly with the string, or?
I don't know what Eagly was doing this episode. I think Eagly was just doing eagle things.
just being Prime Eagle.
Yeah, just chilling, hanging out, doing eagle things.
Not so Prime Eagle.
No, I think Eagly has a twisted sense of humor.
It's also, I don't know, can Eagly, like, maybe Eagly would have been more effective in helping Economos get out of the ropes, but Economos probably would have gotten bloodied in the process, so maybe I take that back.
No.
All right, you guys were saying that Economos should have stayed in the car and just
Yes.
not come to this dimension at all. Do you feel the same now? And do you think that it would have changed anything about how all this went down? For better or worse?
Yes, he should have still stayed in the car. Yes. He should not have come on this mission. Yes. Would it have changed anything? Maybe not. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it would have taken a little bit longer for the Smiths to find out that Chris isn't their Chris.
Would that have been good or bad for, say, Adebayo?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm just sure that Economos should not have gone on this mission. That's the only thing I'm certain about. I'm 100% certain that he should have stayed.
I'm hoping it pays off, just him having witnessed all of this. What do you think, Aaron?
Yeah, I think even the way that he tries to deflect the blame when he's sitting in the chair during the whole scene where he's not even being interrogated, nothing bad is happening to him, no one is threatening him, and he still feels the need to say, I'm not as involved as you think I am. So I do think he should have stayed behind. He felt very uncomfortable and was giving up way too much.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's through our discomfort that we grow. So I think he wishes that he had stayed behind for sure. But I'm hoping that having gone through this and having seen this will help him develop as a person.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not hopeful because I haven't seen anything to give me that hope. But yeah, we'll see.
It was funny when they were dragging him on the chair through the portal.
That was.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the Blue Dragon whole situation. And before we revive our discussion on whether or not he is actually the non-racist he claims, let's listen to that speech that he gives.
This motherfucker killed Chris, my brother, your son. He's not just walking out of here scot-free.
Keith, you know what Chris was like.
I don't know, Dad. What was he like?
I loved the boy.
It doesn't sound like he did, Dad.
I loved him. You know that. But he had issues. He was out of control, always. The drugs, the violence.
He was a good person. Underneath it all, you know that.
Yeah, maybe. I know I loved him. I know that. But I also believed this kid when he said he didn't purposely try to murder him.
They fucking killed him!
Just to be clear, I wasn't here when that part happened.
Jesus, John.
Keith, revenge isn't going to bring your brother back.
Awfully generous for a Nazi.
Don't call me that.
Don't call you a Nazi.
I didn't create the problems in my world, Missy. I don't agree with them. I applaud you if your world is perfect and you fight every injustice you ever see. Is that what you do? Unfortunately, I haven't got the strength for that. I fight the madman murderers and monsters in front of me because that's all I can control. And at the end of my life, when I stand in judgment before God, I hope that he knows that I did the best that I could and I left this world a better place than when I came.
And that's the end of that speech. I mean, he's not devoid of a point, that's for sure. We've talked about this in previous episodes a lot, just how there is most people feel like they can only handle so much. And it's true. We can only handle so much. And we've talked also about how a lot of what you're willing to do comes down to what you are forced to experience. And he's obviously someone who has not been forced to experience hardship. And also it's just, I just keep thinking about what you were saying, Aaron. Like he's not anti-racist. He's not like, I don't want vigilante. I already said, I think goes too far in killing first, and I don't know, even hardcore, I feel like is more outspoken. Here we have someone who is probably one of the most influential people in his world. He is wealthy. He, more importantly for his influence, He has a celebrity status, and he's one of what, as far as we've seen, he's one of the primary superheroes of this world. So if anyone can make change in this world, wouldn't it be him? And why is he fighting against the Sons of Liberty and not with them? And also, you brought this up kind of earlier. I think, Aaron, you brought this up earlier, that even if he isn't racist, but both of his sons are, what does that say about him?
Right. And
Yeah.
I think that his whole speech is just, it felt very performative. This guy, like you said, Elysia, he has the resources, he has the power to make a difference, and he makes that conscious choice not to. And what constitutes the bad guys in his universe that he's fighting, I'm sure that many days of the week he goes and he fights against people that we would be appalled that he's killing them. And it's within the framework of this universe. Maybe he thinks he's doing a good thing. Maybe he thinks that he is doing as much as he can, but I have serious doubts about that.
He literally sees a group that's fighting to do more than he is. So I don't know how he can say that with good conscience. Yeah. And so James Gunn's explanation is just basically like that he saw when it came to his sons, because I'm also like, is he sad enough about his son dying? Because that's kind of weird to me. But James Gunn's basically like, he thought his son was a bad one, and this seems like a really good Chris. But I don't know. I'm also still remembering, like, the thing that set off my sensors earlier is this whole thing he said to Keith earlier in the episode.
If that ain't your brother, and he's out there, we have to get to him before the authorities do, because if he tells anybody that we have a dimensional portal in our house, we are fucked. Everything we work for is over.
I'll kill him.
We gotta find him first. You with me?
So, I mean, I thought the entire episode, that's what was really driving him, and that jived more with who I thought he was as a character. And then he dies, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. It feels like there's still a revelation that I missed or something. I just don't. He's not that great, He's maybe better than the other Augie, but he's not that great.
Yeah, and I think it's just so telling how weak his reprimand of Keith was when he learned what Keith was doing to Adebayo. It was almost the same way that you would, I don't know, scold a child for getting a bad grade in school. It was so minor, and it almost felt like he didn't care that much. He was just like, oh, that's not how I raised you. But it didn't go any further than that. It felt very odd.
Yeah. Thoughts, Sean?
Yeah, that's when the clip you just played about him telling Keith that if they find the portal, then everything that they worked for is fucked. In that moment, the thought came to mind that what if he's been looking for, going through the portal to look for allies to bring down this regime, right? But then with the speech that he gave to when Hawker calls him a Nazi, that feeling kind of went away from me. Because it seemed that he was very clear that he's not a Nazi. But really, again, I don't know what he stands for. Right? He says, the best that I can do is fight the monsters that are right in front of me.
The monsters right in front of you are Nazis.
Your entire society is a Nazi society. So if you're talking about the literal monsters, like other dimensional beings and
that poor kaiju.
Yeah, exactly. Or people with, powers or whatever, then I just don't buy the idea that this person is a good person. And the idea also that, he's not racist, because he said he's not a Nazi.
Yeah.
That so bothers me that folks would have that reaction where he's talking and he's saying, don't you dare call me a Nazi. This is not what I want, but you're not doing anything to stop it, bro. And I think that's my problem. Like, it's one thing to say clearly what you're not, right? But if you are unwilling to do things to change what you know is happening,
Mm-hmm.
then what's the difference? There are a whole lot of well-meaning people who do nothing. And they go about their lives as if, with blinders on.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that's kind of what Augie's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he sees the bad, like we said earlier, the people who are probably in concentration camps and work camps. He knows it exists, but from what we know so far, he hasn't done anything to try to rectify that. So what does it mean to say that he's not a racist when he's obviously okay with Adebayo being chased down the street, and he's only upset that Keith, not because he's chasing Adebayo down the street, but in how he's doing it. You know that neighborhood watch thing I told you about. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he's not chastising Keith to be as far as being part of a mob, a racist mob. That's not what he did in that moment. So I just can't say that this is a good person as much as other people want to say that. I just don't see it.
Yeah, and I just wonder what is the difference between the two Augies, yeah. And maybe that's a question, but it just seems like the way James Gunn has been playing with us all season, it feels like he wouldn't do that by accident. He wouldn't plant these doubts unless he's going to at some point show us a Hitler mural and say, no, he really should have noticed, that sort of thing. Question about so we had the police show up, and so we see a familiar face from season 1. We get Lachlan Monroe back as Larry Fitzgibbon. Of course, no detective song because she was an Asian woman, but she honestly was my favorite, so I was really sad not to have her and her quips back. But I was just thinking, so yeah, she's Asian, of course, but then were there any women on the police force?
Oh, I didn't see any. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
No.
I was just thinking about it now.
I didn't see any.
Yeah, and it seems like with what we know of Argus and alternate universe Harcourt's involvement in that, they don't seem to give her very much responsibility or anything of that sort. So this Nazi world, I think, is certainly coded as extremely, extremely sexist, which tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Another fun fact from the podcast is James Gunn said that he wanted to. Yeah, he said, of course, no detective song for the reasons we would expect. He said he did at one point write a storyline for Myrn to come back as a freedom fighter in Earth X.
Oh wow!
But
okay.
yeah, but he eventually, he had to kill his darling there and cut that just to streamline the plot, which I get. But that would have been fun.
That would have been cool.
Yeah. I would love just like a Sons of Liberty spin-off show.
Absolutely.
Vigilante would be there. And yeah, Fitzgibbon, he's there to arrest Peacemaker, but Augie blocks him because he doesn't have a warrant. So they go and guard the house. And then, Jean, what happens next?
Okay, breaking back, in and out. Let's go. Meanwhile, Adebayo, Judo Master, and the two vigilantes are taking out the guards outside. One of the vigilantes bursts through the window where the group is talking inside, and without taking names or asking questions, just starts stabbing Augie, killing him, breaking Chris's heart and enraging Keith. The DCEU crew makes a break for their own dimension, fighting off the police who have now broken into the house, and a vengeful Keith whom Harcourt tries to kill, afraid that he will pursue Chris back to their world. but he survives to hold a violent grudge for another day.
I loved the group of them together. Like I said, I want a spin-off show with ads and the Vigilantes and Junamaster. Yeah, I think Vigilante was too stabby personally, but do we know for sure, was it our Vigilante? Is he the one who actually killed
Oh wow.
Augie?
I didn't take a moment to think about that. Huh.
That's one of the reasons why I was wondering which is which.
Okay.
Yeah.
We know that our Adrian, I mean, obviously that whoever did it, that will upset Chris. But our Adrian has been wanting to kill Augie since Adebayo manipulated him last season. So it's still probably stuck in his head.
Yeah, I think it's perfectly in character for either one of them to have done it, but I can absolutely see if it's our vigilante that would cause problems. I would lean more on the side of it's the alternate universe vigilante. He has a little bit more skin in the game, and we know that he had his problems with the top trio separate from everything that's been happening.
That's true. He probably has a vendetta against them. Yeah, and then the 11th Street kids all tackle and beat Keith until Chris yells,
Ah! Get off him! Get off him, please! Stop! What's wrong with us? What the fuck is wrong with all of us?
and I think I feel that. I mean, obviously, that made me tear up. Even just listening to it kind of makes me tear up. But I feel that at the end, he says, "What's wrong with all of us?" Like he's saying, we as individual humans aren't necessarily better than this other world. We are all just messed up and destroying things. Did you interpret it the same way, Jean?
No.
No?
I mean, no, I understood that, but I just don't agree with it. But yeah, I understood what he was saying. And that's why it was so heartbreaking to me watching him, not because I agreed with him, but because this entire series is Chris trying to be less horrible of a human being, right? And from when where season 1 started to where we're at right now, you can see the strides that he's made and the attempts that he's made to become less horrible. And in that moment, I think he's taken stock of everything that he's done and everything that he's seen, everything that he's lost, and it hits him like a ton of bricks. Watching his friends do something, to his brother, even though that's not really his brother, but still, right? It's too much for him. In that moment, it's just like, whoa, what have I been doing with my life? What have I been through? What is this? How do I look at myself? What is this? This is a reflection on him, watching his friends beat down Keith, because that's what he's done. So in that moment, it's just like, wow, the mirror is being held up to him, and he's looking at him through his friends, and he's saying, what are we? That everything always comes down to this. What am I? Everything always comes down to this. And that was pretty powerful for me, because, as you both know, I'm not a Chris fan. He's not someone that I want to hang out with, not someone I want to, talk to, not someone that I want to be around. No, I don't. And watching him, that the shell and everything that he's, built in himself. Even we go back to the Soups movie, and, he's in that clip and he's talking about how people, they're jealous of him because of his muscles and all of that. All of that is stripped away in this moment. Everything that we know about Peacemaker is just stripped away in this scene. And I think it's a really powerful one. For me, it was really powerful in just the way that we have to sometimes take stock of ourselves and really see how we've walked in the world that we inhabit and the harm that we've done, right? And you just see that. I just saw that in that moment. And it's really powerful. But it's all that other shit about, their world and our world and, comparison. Look, it's a fucking Nazi world, man. You know what I'm saying? The Nazis are ruling that world, and Keith is a fucking Nazi. Fuck Keith.
Yeah, I mean, fuck Keith, for sure. I mean, I understand why, he's like, this is my brother, and my brother died. But, like,
for
if our
me as
world...
a viewer, that's what I'm saying. For me as a viewer, it's like, fuck Keith. But I understand why Chris is going through what he's going.
Yeah. Well, it's also, as much as nobody could hate Chris as much as he hates himself. He still has ringing through his head what Rick Flag Jr. said to him when he died. Peacemaker, what a joke. And that's still something that's like in this, I'm sure he heard it in his head in that moment too, while all of that's going down. And somehow he thinks that he's like, I even broke Nazi world. He didn't say that literally, but like, how do you think that this is a horrible reality where one of your best friend almost got killed just for walking down the street? Like, that's how bad this world is. And somehow he's going to take the blame on himself.
Yeah.
So, okay, that takes us to the end of maybe for now our last moments in Nazi world, where one of the Adrians stays behind to fight solo. We have talked about our theories that maybe they did a swaparoo. I'm assuming we just have to trust he'll be okay because he just seems to survive. He's a survivor. Anyway, so next week, definitely going to be watching The Color of the Glasses when the mask is removed in the finale. Remember, silver rims is what our Adrian was wearing, and the other Adrian was wearing gold rims. So, I don't know. We'll see. Do you want to set up the last part of the episode, Aaron?
Yeah, absolutely. Back in the DCU, while all of this has been going on, in the DCU Prime Dimension, Rick sends for Lex Luthor's minion, Sidney Happerson, telling him that he'll be working for him from now on, or else he'll tell Lex that he was bad. Happerson is immediately able to locate the portal and get to the QUC at Adrian's house. Argus shows up at Vigilante's house just as the 11th Street kids arrive back in their home dimension, and Judo Master steps back over to their side. Chris throws the dimensional portal to Rick and tells him that all the others went to the other universe to stop him and that they should all be pardoned in exchange for him and the portal. Rip Jagger, aka Judo Master, backs up Chris's story, and Rick agrees. What'd you guys think?
Yeah, it was fun to. We were talking last week. The reveal was indeed just Lex's minion Happerson, but it was fun to see. We got to see more of him here than we did there, and we find out a little bit more about his backstory and why he's uniquely qualified. We hear
That the guy?
Luthor says that's the guy. Sidney Happerson. MIT super genius. Literally wrote the book on dimensional interconnectivity. Then he threw it all away to come work with Luthor.
So this is teasing maybe, and also that whole thing where he was afraid of Lex finding out that he didn't do what he was told, teases a potentially interesting relationship between them. But I don't know, Jean, what do you think? Were you happy to get to know Happerson in this? Were you amused by him?
Not really.
No?
Yeah. I didn't need Sydney to be here, personally. It didn't do anything for me, one way or the other. I wasn't happy. It was blah. So, yeah.
I thought he was an amusing character in the episode itself. I have to say, it was probably my least favorite credit scene, but I'm a woman, so maybe that's... What did you think, Aaron?
I might have forgotten to watch the credit scene this week, but my overall thoughts on Happerson, I was a little lost as to why he seems so afraid of the consequences of Lex Luthor. He seemed to be Lex Luthor's major dissenter in the Superman movie. He seemed to be the guy who didn't agree with what Lex was doing.
Well, he was going to close the rift anyway, yeah.
Right. So he's already on Lex Luthor's bad side. I don't know why he's afraid of even more retaliation.
Yeah, that's true. That is
But
true.
maybe it was also like that was desperate Happerson who was at the end of, he was just like, okay, this is gone too far. That's where his line is destroying an entire city. He's like, no, this is too far. We have to shut this down. But yeah, I wonder if that also plays into that he's more afraid of Lex, because I think just because Lex is locked up, like so many people who are kingpins of one sort or another, I don't think that means that he can't get to him.
Right.
That's very true.
I think Lex is very much a crime lord.
Yeah,
that
definitely. Definitely.
It was interesting, yeah. So the flying hub in Superman was a pretty cool reveal when it flew away from the building.
Yeah.
And of course, they confiscated it when Lex was arrested. That makes sense. It was interesting to hear that, and it tracks with what we've seen on screen, that Lex's tech is far less stable than the tech Peacemaker had. So I think, yeah, that comes from the fact that we know it comes from an alien source. But also, I wonder, is Rick going to use this as justification to use the tech for himself?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Even though he was so, I'm going after Peacemaker because of this tech. But
Oh,
now
yeah.
he's got
Yeah.
Peacemaker and the tech. Now what?
Now he's gonna, do what a lot of people in the military do.
Yeah.
I also wonder if he's taking after Flurry, because he called the new agent just Smiley. So I don't think that's his real name. That's a very Flurry-esque nickname. Sorry, Aaron, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, especially now that he has Happerson's confirmation that the door is stable, I don't think he'll have any qualms about using it.
Right.
Exactly. I was, when the Argus team showed up at the end and they were just coming through like the drug and money room, I was like, no, don't let them search the house. Don't let them see that basement.
Right.
Oh, poor Mrs. Chase is going down. So I was kind of glad that Chris stepped forward and was like, no, here's everything you want. You leave the house alone. Do we think that Judo Master is going to side with the 11th Street kids in the finale?
Yes.
For sure. Yeah.
Yes. I think being in a Nazi dimension has to bond you in some sort of way.
We've been through some shit. I noticed also after Adebayo gave her speech about like Chris is a good guy, he's just dumb. That when once the group came back together, Rip was watching Chris a lot and noticing the deep emotion that he felt, that he was feeling. He was being, other than Adebayo, he was being like the second most moral person in the group. Because Adebayo is always the most moral. And then, and I think that this is, and then he saw Chris make the ultimate sacrifice in the end and say, take me and this piece of technology. And that hopefully convinced him that Adebayo was right about him.
Yeah, I think Judo Master is, he's not, he's looking for a cause. And I think that, being around Adebayo, being stuck in that dimension will kind of open his eyes to his existence in the regular DCU and what he's been doing. So, yeah, I'm hopeful for Judo Master. I'm very hopeful that he comes around.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think we need more Mama Chase next week, and we definitely need more Flurry next week. Like, we've really been shortchanged on Flurry. What are your other hopes for next week, Aaron?
I just really hope that Rick Flag is able to make some kind of peace with the Peacemaker. I think that this guy, he needs some closure on his son, and he needs to be able to blame the right sources. And maybe Rip Jagger is going to be instrumental to that. Maybe he'll be able to convince Rick Flag that it's not as black and white as he thinks it is. And I think deep down, Senior knows that. I think he knows it's not as black and white as he wants it to be. But he just needs someone to blame because he's angry. And now that he has this dimensional door, he has every previous justification that he had for going after Peacemaker in his hands, maybe he'll see him as more of a resource, and I think that would be a good resolution. But it's a long way to come from where we have them in this episode.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've talked about already that it doesn't sound like we're getting a season 3, and so I'm very curious about what we're going to see in the finale that explains that, or if we're going to see any more of Nazi world at all. If Rick's going to find out if his son is alive there. I don't. I from the teaser, I have the idea that we're going to get some glimpses of other worlds. So I'm very excited about that.
Okay.
Jean, what are your hopes or predictions?
Again, I predict that they're going to use the quantum door, and they're going to open all 99 of them, and one of those 99 is going to be something that's going to look back and say, aha, hello. And that's not going to be a good thing for the DCU.
Is going to be Brainiac.
As people say Brainiac, but I don't know. I don't know if it will be Brainiac.
I mean, I say Brainiac because there's been hints of it in glimpses that James Gunn has shared of his Man of Tomorrow stuff.
Okay. Somebody's going to be interested. And I think we'll get a larger clue into who that somebody is. I wouldn't be mad at Brainiac, though. I wouldn't be mad at it.
No. Although, as you pointed out, the we're not calling them mother boxes. We agreed not to call them, but the interdimensional technology points toward the new gods as well,
right?
Which leads, but I would be so shocked if like Darkseid or something just showed up at the end of.
Yeah.
I think that'll be like a showing up at the end of the next Superman movie sort of thing. More. All right, yeah, one episode left, and it's called Full Monty. So we know they're going the full Monty with nearly double the runtime we got this week. And it's supposed to be a crazy one. It's supposed to connect to the next Superman movie. Lots of exciting stuff. Any final thoughts about this episode, Aaron?
Just that I hope we get a little bit more of that alien guy from the QUC.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll get a little connection.
Where is he?
James Gunn, if you're listening, please.
Tell us about the rats. Peek into his world.
And I wonder who else that Best Dimension Augie came into contact with. That would be something that I'd be interested to see if Chris, that Peacemaker, also came into contact with anyone from the alternate, dimensions, and they, I want to see which doors they go through, because I know they're going to go through the doors. I want to see what's on the other side of the doors.
Yeah, me too. All right, well, we look forward to that. And in the meantime, Aaron, what's going on with Radioactive Ramblings? I saw you just released an episode about the first episodes of Gen V.
Yes, we lumped 1 through 4 into a single episode because we were running a little bit behind schedule. But from episode 5 onward, we should be in a good place of getting them out weekly after the episodes come out. Our scheduling conflicts, as far as I know, have been resolved. So we're in a good place. And if you really enjoyed those first 4 episodes, maybe wait until our episode 5 review comes out, because we were being haters just a little bit.
Oh, I can't wait to listen. I'm here for the hate. I love it.
But did you like 5 better?
I liked 5 a lot better, and I think Chase was in a similar boat. Richard may or may not be joining us for our 5th episode review. He's trying to catch up on the show. He's been watching Peacemaker, actually, so he's been distracted with that, which is a valid distraction. And then
after didn't he say he did not want to cover it with you?
Yeah, he did. And Chase has also been trying to get us back on the track of doing a Studio Ghibli movie. So
okay.
I think Grave of Fireflies is the next one, or is that the title? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Talking about emotional gut punches. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again, Aaron, for the episode art. You've done a lot of our, when we do our weekly coverage, you've done a lot of the art. So thank you so much. It's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Of
Awesome
course. Thank
stuff.
you guys for having me on. I love doing it.
And if you want to check out Radioactive Ramblings for yourself, you'll find that linked in the show notes. And there's also a link tree in the show notes that, amongst other things, links to the other affiliates in our network, like Nevermind the Music, where psychology meets music. I referenced them earlier. There will be an episode coming up next month about me talking to them about Superman and Hope Punk. Properly Howard, they're wrapping up their movie reviews. It was the last one they released, just the last of the season. Anyway, check them out for fun movie reviews. You don't have to have seen the movies in advance. You can just listen to them riff. I saw someone was saying on the chat that like they almost prefer not having seen the movies and then trying to figure out what the movie was about based on.
That's funny.
And yeah, we'll shift dust. I'm gonna push the Frankenstein series that there's going to be 2 extra episodes for subscribers. The first one should be coming out around the same time as this one. And that is, both of them are setting up the backstory of Frankenstein and the Gothic literature and how the vampires and Frankenstein are tied together and all that. And then, the Star Wars Canon Timeline podcast. There's going to be 3 extra episodes for subscribers there, which are setting up the 3 episodes and all the materials around Star Wars Visions and the sequels that are about to come out at the end of this month. So if you are a subscriber, look out for that. If you are not a subscriber, if you're just listening to the public feed there, then watch out for more High Republic content soon. And Sean, what's going on the main Lorehounds feed?
We have Foundation Season 3 wrap-up coming early next week. The Alien Earth wrap-up coming later next week as well. Where you on that, no?
No, yeah, that just came out, actually.
That just came out,
I didn't update that.
And David has got some more things planned out. Just a sidebar. Me and David might be getting into some movie talk.
You guys, I feel like if one of you loved the movie this year, the other one hated it, or not hated it. I don't mean to.
I don't think I hated the movie, but you know.
No. But yeah, I mean, I know David didn't like some things that
yes.
that you loved for sure. That I loved.
So we might be talking about some of those our differences.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. So I just wanted to announce that we did set up a new Peacemaker feed for the Lorehounds for people who right now it's just the DC content that we've done. So all of our DCU stuff, we'll be adding the Marvel stuff that we cover there, but that's going to be the comics versus feed for anyone who just wants to hear the DC and Marvel coverage in the comic side of things.
Right.
If you have found us over there and you want to listen to the rest, well, you'll find the link tree in the show notes again with all the podcasts. But Lorehounds is the main feed where you'll find these episodes and all the others. And if you have feedback that you want to share, please send it to comicsvs@thelorehounds.com. That's also linked in the show notes. And in that link tree is also the Discord with a forum with full spoiler chats per episode of Peacemaker under DC. Under franchises later or current shows, if you're checking there now. We've got quite a hopping Discord in general with, forums set up for all the stuff that we cover. So there's been lots of chatter about like everything from Interview with the Vampire, Wheel of Time, Alien Earth obviously has got a lot of discussion going on. Foundation, of course, just wrapped up. So you can find all of that in there. Just thank you in general to everyone listening right now. You are a huge help. We would not be doing this if there weren't people who wanted to listen to this and hear what we had to say in our insights about these stories. So if you like what we're doing and you want to help for free, us to be able to continue to do this, then you can help by sharing this episode with anyone else who's a fan of Peacemaker. That is an enormous help. And leaving nice ratings and reviews wherever you are listening. This is very much helps the algorithm point more people in our direction. So thank you to all of our listeners. Thank you to those who have shared and left ratings and reviews. We see them and we appreciate them very, very deeply. And if you want to go a step deeper, though, there is the Supercast and Patreon, where there are season passes for certain shows. Like Alien Earth has a season pass going on now. We just put out an episode about how Frankenstein connects with the Alien Earth story. There's a second episode about Peter Pan and Alien Earth coming up for subscribers, a bunch of other fun extras like that. That's just a one-time $10 fee. Or if you are a monthly subscriber, you have all of those episodes. You have ad-free access to all of our podcasts, plus additional bonus content like What You Watchin' mini episodes and Second Breakfast and 11sies are our monthly extras. This year, of course, Spooktober. Weapons won. So Weapons was the winner of the vote. It's going to get the public episode, and subscribers will get an extra episode of a lore down between Barbarian and Companion.
No. Okay.
Have either of you watched any of those three movies?
Yes.
They're missing
Weapons.
from my watch list.
Barbarian. I watched them both.
Okay. Are you a fan?
Yeah, I think I like Weapons more than I like Barbarian.
Okay. I think Barbarian's scarier. I think Weapons...
Maybe.
I was going to say Weapons goes deeper, but Barbarian literally goes deeper. Anyway, so that's that's a pun. So yeah, thank you again to all those people, and of course we shout out our special final thank yous to the tunes of this time from the horror folder because Lord, Fallen. Ooh. Thank you to our Discord server boosters, Aaron K, Tiller the Thriller, Droog71, Athena Ajalea, Let's Do, Nancy M, Ghost of Partition, Radioactive Richard, and Adrian. Thank you to all of our subscribers, but especially to our top tier, the Lore Masters, Samartian, Michael G, Michelle E, Brian P, SC, Peter OH, Adam S, Nancy M, Doob71, Brian 8063, Frederick H, Sarah L, Gareth C, Matthew M, Sarah M, Andra B, Kwang Yu, Jedi Bob, Nathan T, Sub-Zero, Aaron K, Dali V, Mothership 61, Gnarls, Kathy W, Lestu, Jeffrey V, Elysia U, Neil F, Ben B, Scott F, Stephen N, Julia F, Paulie S, Ilmariel, /Tim, Paul K, Bobby C, Rocky Zim, Jessica H, Red Zippy, the TCS, Mick C, and always last, Adrian. All right. We have any final words from my two co-hosts?
James Gunn, stick the landing.
I think that's a beautiful way to go out. Stick the landing. Feige, I didn't forget about you.
Superhero landing incoming from T'Challa, played by who?
Idris.
The Lorehounds podcast is produced and published by The Lorehounds. You can send questions and feedback and voicemails at thelorehounds.com/contact. Get early and ad-free access to all Lorehounds podcasts at patreon.com/thelorehounds. Any opinions stated are ours personally and do not reflect the opinion of or belong to any employers or other entities. Thanks for listening.